The quantum anomaly detection system at the Ganymede Research Station wasn't supposed to be active during routine maintenance. That's why Dr. James Morrison almost missed the signal that would change humanity's destiny forever. The reading came at 300 station time, a subtle distortion in the quantum field that surrounded Jupiter's largest moon. At first, he dismissed it as system noise from the maintenance protocols. But the pattern repeated, and repeated again. Perfect mathematical sequences that couldn't be natural. Control, this is Morrison. Are you seeing this? His voice trembled slightly as he transmitted the data back to Earth. The response took the usual 40-minute light speed delay, during which he triple-checked his calculations. The pattern wasn't just mathematical, it was a message. Within hours, the International Space Coalition had mobilized its first contact protocols. Dr. Morrison found himself pulled from his quiet research post and thrust into the heart of humanity's greatest discovery, or what they thought was their greatest discovery. The message, when finally decoded, was simple. We offer friendship. We bring enlightenment. We are the Nexarians. Humanity celebrated. First contact had been achieved, and it seemed peaceful. The Nexarians shared images of their civilization, crystalline cities that stretched across entire planets, ships that could bend space itself, and technology that appeared almost magical in its sophistication. But Dr. Elena Santos, head of Earth's Quantum Physics Division, saw something others missed. The quantum signatures of the Nexarian transmissions contained irregularities that defied known physics. These patterns, she explained to the Coalition Council, they're not just carrying information. They're doing something to the fabric of space-time itself. Her warnings went unheeded in the excitement of first contact. The Nexarians promised to share their technology, to help humanity join the galactic community. Their first gift was a quantum enhancement device, claimed to boost human cognitive abilities. The truth emerged during the first test. Dr. Morrison volunteered, eager to advance human knowledge. The moment the device activated, he screamed, not in pain, but in revelation. The quantum field around him exploded with energy readings off the charts. When he recovered, Morrison was changed. I can see it, he whispered, his eyes now containing shifting patterns of light. We've had it wrong all along. Humans aren't just conscious beings. We're quantum beings. Our consciousness exists in multiple dimensions simultaneously. The Nexarians, they don't want to help us. They want to harvest us. The Nexarians had been searching the galaxy for species with specific quantum consciousness signatures. Humanity's brain structure allowed for quantum entanglement on a scale they had never seen before. Each human mind was a natural quantum computer, capable of calculations that the Nexarians' artificial systems couldn't match. When the Coalition demanded answers, the Nexarians dropped their peaceful facade. Their ships emerged from quantum rifts around Earth, massive crystalline structures that pulsed with otherworldly energy. Their message was clear: surrender and be harvested, or resist and be destroyed. But they had made a critical mistake. The quantum enhancement device hadn't just revealed their true intentions, it had awakened humanity's dormant abilities. Dr. Morrison wasn't the only one affected. Across Earth, people began reporting strange experiences. Some could perceive quantum fluctuations naturally. Others demonstrated the ability to influence quantum fields with their thoughts. They wanted to prepare us for harvesting, Dr. Santos realized. Instead, they've awakened something they can't control. The first Nexarian attack came at dawn. Their weapons, designed to disrupt conventional matter, proved less effective against targets protected by human quantum fields. Earth's military forces, though outgunned in conventional terms, discovered that human pilots could predict and evade Nexarian attacks through their newfound quantum awareness. As humanity scrambled to understand and harness these emerging abilities, Dr. Morrison and Dr. Santos worked frantically to develop a defense strategy. The quantum signatures humans naturally produced could be amplified, focused, and weaponized. Earth's existing spacecraft, retrofitted with quantum field generators powered by human consciousness, became the foundation of humanity's first line of defense. The Nexarians had expected an easy harvest. What they found instead was a species awakening to its true potential, one whose very consciousness could reshape the quantum fabric of reality. As Earth's forces prepared for the greatest battle in human history, one thing became clear. Humanity's greatest weapon wasn't its technology or its military might, but the untapped potential that had laid dormant in human minds for millennia. The war for Earth's survival would be fought not just in space, but in the quantum realm itself, where human consciousness held powers that even the Nexarians, with all their advanced technology, had never imagined possible. As Dr. Morrison stood at the command center of Earth's hastily assembled quantum defense network, watching the Nexarian ships position themselves for their first major assault, he smiled. The Nexarians had wanted to harvest human consciousness. Instead, they had given humanity the key to unlocking its true potential. The real question wasn't whether humanity would survive. It was what they would become once they fully embraced their quantum nature. The underground facility beneath the Rocky Mountains hummed with quantum energy as Captain Sarah Chen focused her consciousness. The holographic display before her shimmered, showing the quantum field distortions her mind now naturally perceived. 3 months had passed since the Nexarians' true intentions were revealed, and humanity had been racing against time to understand their newfound abilities. Neural quantum coupling at 70%. Dr. Santos' voice came through the facility's speakers. "Sarah, try to push it further." Captain Chen closed her eyes, feeling the familiar sensation of her consciousness extending beyond normal spacetime. The quantum field responded, rippling with patterns that matched her thoughts. Around her, the prototype quantum drive core pulsed with increasing intensity. 80%. 90%. "We're approaching theoretical limits," Dr. Santos announced, excitement evident in her voice. "Hold it there." The breakthrough had come 2 weeks after Dr. Morrison's transformation. Dr. Santos discovered that human consciousness could directly interface with quantum technology, creating effects that defied conventional physics. What the Nexarians had intended as a harvesting mechanism became humanity's greatest weapon. The International Defense Coalition, formed from Earth's united military forces, began recruiting individuals with the strongest quantum sensitivity. Captain Chen, formerly a fighter pilot, had shown exceptional ability to manipulate quantum fields. She became the test pilot for Project Quantum Leap, humanity's attempt to match Nexarian technology. "Neural patterns are stabilizing," Dr. Morrison observed, his altered eyes tracking quantum fluctuations invisible to normal human perception. "The quantum core is fully synchronized with her consciousness." The first prototype quantum ships were crude compared to Nexarian vessels, but they had one crucial advantage. They were powered by human consciousness itself. While Nexarian ships relied on artificial quantum processors, Earth's vessels channeled the natural quantum manipulation abilities of their human pilots. In orbit, the Nexarian fleet maintained their blockade of Earth, seemingly content to wait while humanity exhausted its resources. They had never encountered a species that developed quantum abilities so rapidly, and their initial attacks had proven less effective than expected. Admiral Marcus Hayes, commander of Earth's defense forces, watched the test from his command center. "How soon can we replicate this technology across our fleet?" he asked. "The quantum cores are ready for mass production," Dr. Santos replied. "The real limitation is finding pilots who can handle the neural load. Not everyone's quantum sensitivity is strong enough." Training facilities were established across the globe, screening for individuals with high quantum potential. Those who showed promise underwent intensive training to develop their abilities. The process was demanding. Many couldn't handle the strain of extending their consciousness into quantum space, but those who succeeded became humanity's best hope for survival. Captain Chen opened her eyes, her consciousness still merged with the quantum drive. "I can feel something else," she reported. "There are spaces between spaces, paths through the quantum field that the Nexarians use for their faster-than-light travel." Dr. Morrison nodded. "The quantum rifts. We've observed them, but haven't been able to generate them ourselves. The energy requirements are astronomical. We don't need to generate them, Chen replied, her voice distant as her mind explored quantum space. They're already there, natural folds in spacetime. The Nexarians use technology to access them, but we might be able to perceive and navigate them directly. This revelation sparked a new direction in humanity's defensive strategy. Instead of trying to match Nexarian technology directly, they would leverage their unique ability to perceive and manipulate quantum space naturally. Earth's ships would be smaller, more agile, and powered by the consciousness of their pilots. The first successful test of the new quantum drive came during a Nexarian probe attack. A squadron of Earth's prototype fighters, led by Captain Chen, demonstrated unprecedented maneuverability. The pilots' quantum-enhanced awareness allowed them to anticipate Nexarian weapons fire before it happened, while their consciousness-powered drives let them perform maneuvers that should have been impossible. For the first time since the invasion began, humanity had achieved a decisive victory. The Nexarian probe ships, despite their technological superiority, were destroyed without a single human casualty. But the real breakthrough came in the battle's aftermath. As Captain Chen pursued the last retreating Nexarian vessel, her consciousness brushed against something in quantum space, a vast network of interconnected quantum pathways that spread throughout the galaxy. The Nexarians' secret transportation system lay exposed to human perception. "We don't just have a defense now," she reported back to command. "We have a way to take the fight to them." Admiral Hayes immediately grasped the implications. With their ability to navigate quantum space naturally, human pilots could potentially bypass the Nexarian blockade entirely. Earth's forces could strike at the heart of Nexarian territory, through paths the enemy thought only they could access. As the quantum drive program accelerated, Dr. Santos and her team made another startling discovery. The quantum abilities awakened in humans weren't remaining static. They were evolving. Each generation of pilots showed stronger abilities than the last. Humanity wasn't just adapting to use quantum technology. They were becoming something new. The Nexarians had sought to harvest human consciousness. Instead, they had triggered an evolutionary leap that would transform humanity into something far more powerful than they had ever imagined. As Earth's first quantum fleet took shape, the true scope of human potential was only beginning to emerge. Admiral Hayes stood in the observation deck of Quantum Command, watching Earth's first dedicated quantum fleet take shape in high orbit. The ships looked nothing like traditional space vessels or even the crystalline structures of Nexarian craft. Their hulls rippled with quantum reactive materials that pulsed in sync with their pilots' consciousness. The quantum pathways Captain Chen discovered, Dr. Morrison explained, his luminous eyes tracking invisible patterns in space. They're not just corridors through spacetime. They're gaps in reality itself, what we're calling horror space. The name had stuck after the first experimental probe returned. The quantum realm that enabled faster-than-light travel wasn't empty. It was alive with phenomena that defied conventional physics and human perception. Most pilots who glimpsed it directly reported sensations that their minds couldn't properly process. Horror space isn't just a shortcut, Dr. Santos added, reviewing the latest test data. It's a dimension where thought and reality intersect. The Nexarians use technology to shield themselves from its effects. We're learning to embrace it. The initiative had begun after discovering that human consciousness could naturally navigate these quantum corridors. While Nexarian ships required massive energy expenditure to punch through into horror space, human pilots could slip through existing weak points in the fabric of reality. Captain Chen led the first successful horror space transit 3 weeks ago. Her consciousness had guided her ship through what looked like a tear in space itself, emerging 50 light-years away in under an hour. The experience had changed her, as it had changed all pilots who followed. The quantum evolution is accelerating, Dr. Morrison reported. Each transit through horror space strengthens the pilot's abilities. They're developing ways to communicate across quantum space, to perceive multiple realities simultaneously. We're becoming something more than human. The evidence was visible in the training facilities beneath Quantum Command. New recruits with quantum sensitivity were developing abilities faster than ever. Some could manipulate quantum fields without technological assistance. Others demonstrated precognitive abilities, seeing possibilities branch through quantum spacetime. But the initiative faced its own challenges. Horror space transit was psychologically demanding. Even the strongest pilots needed recovery time between jumps. The Nexarians' artificial quantum processors had limitations, but they were consistent. Human consciousness was more powerful, but also more volatile. "We've completed the first wave of fleet modifications," Admiral Hayes announced to the assembled command staff. "Every ship now has horror space capability, provided we have pilots who can handle it. The question is, do we have enough?" The answer came from an unexpected source. Dr. Santos' research had revealed that quantum sensitivity wasn't limited to individual pilots. Human consciousness could synchronize across quantum space, allowing multiple pilots to share the mental load of horror space navigation. "It's like a quantum neural network," she explained. "Each pilot maintains their individual consciousness, but can draw on the combined strength of the group. The more pilots we connect, the stronger and more stable the network becomes." The breakthrough transformed the initiative's strategy. Instead of relying on exceptional individuals like Captain Chen, they could now field entire squadrons working in quantum synchronization. The horror space fleet would operate as a single organism, its human pilots linked across dimensions of space and thought. The Nexarians noticed the change. Their blockade formations shifted, attempting to isolate and destroy the new quantum ships during testing. But human pilots, connected through the quantum network, could coordinate with impossible precision. Traditional tactical doctrine meant nothing when attacking forces could perceive and react to threats before they materialized. "They're afraid," Captain Chen observed during a debriefing, her eyes showing the same luminous patterns as Dr. Morrison's. The Nexarians built their empire on the assumption that they were the only ones who could control quantum space. We're proving them wrong with every transit. The initiative's final phase brought the most startling development. As more pilots entered horror space, they began to perceive patterns in the quantum realm that suggested purpose. The chaos wasn't random. It was a language, a way of encoding information in the fabric of reality itself. Horror space isn't just a method of transport, Dr. Morrison realized. It's an ancient communication network, possibly predating the Nexarians themselves, and humanity is learning to read it. Admiral Hayes ordered the fleet to battle readiness. Earth's defenders had moved beyond merely copying Nexarian technology. They were accessing levels of quantum space that their enemies had never imagined possible. The Horror Space Initiative had succeeded beyond anyone's expectations, but it had also awakened humanity to a universe far stranger and more wonderful than they had ever dreamed. As the quantum fleet prepared for its first major offensive, the linked consciousness of its pilots reached out across horror space, searching for advantages in the coming battle. They found something unexpected. Echoes of other consciousnesses, ancient and powerful, watching humanity's emergence with great interest. The war for Earth's survival had evolved into something far more significant. Humanity wasn't just fighting for its right to exist. It was taking its first steps into a quantum reality where the boundaries between mind and matter, space and time, ceased to have meaning. The quantum fleet hung in Earth's orbit like a constellation of living stars, 300 ships pulsing with the combined consciousness of their pilots. In the command ship, Captain Chen closed her eyes, feeling the neural network that connected every vessel and crew member. Through horror space, they were no longer individual minds, but a single entity ready to strike. The Nexarian fleet is maintaining standard blockade formation, Admiral Hayes reported from Quantum Command. They've detected no sign of our preparations. The quantum camouflage is holding. Dr. Morrison, now serving as Quantum Operations Director, monitored the fleet's consciousness synchronization. Neural quantum coupling at optimal levels across all ships. Horror space corridors are aligned. We're ready. The plan was audacious. Instead of engaging the Nexarian blockade directly, the entire human fleet would transition into horror space simultaneously, emerging behind enemy lines throughout Nexarian-controlled space. It would be the largest coordinated quantum jump in human history. All ships, prepare for horror space transit. Captain Chen broadcasted through the neural network. Remember your training. Don't fight the quantum currents. Flow with them. We are one mind, one fleet, one purpose. The countdown began. In each ship, pilots reached out with their consciousness, feeling the familiar tears in reality that marked horror space entry points. The Nexarian blockade continued their patrol, their artificial quantum sensors blind to the true threat building before them. Transit in 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Transit in 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. 300 ships vanish simultaneously, leaving behind only quantum echoes. The sudden disappearance of so many quantum signatures finally alerted the Nexarian fleet, but it was too late. Humanity had already slipped through the cracks in reality. Horror space enveloped the fleet in its familiar otherworldly embrace. But this time, something was different. The combined consciousness of so many quantum-sensitive humans resonated with the ancient patterns they had discovered. Information flowed through the neural network, tactical data, enemy positions, and something else. Knowledge encoded in the quantum fabric of horror space itself. New quantum signatures detected. Dr. Santos reported from Earth. The fleet's presence is awakening something in horror space. The patterns are changing. The fleet emerged from horror space in perfect formation, surrounding key Nexarian military installations across 12 star systems. The enemy's response was chaos. Their quantum communication network, designed for artificial processors, couldn't match the speed of human consciousness linked across quantum space. All ships, weapons-free, Admiral Hayes commanded. Execute Operation Quantum Strike. Human vessels struck with impossible precision, their quantum weapons guided by pilots who could see through spacetime itself. Nexarian ships, despite their technological superiority, found themselves outmaneuvered by vessels that seemed to anticipate their every move. But the Nexarians weren't defenseless. Their massive battle stations unleashed waves of quantum disruption, designed to sever the connection between human consciousness and quantum space. Several Earth ships faltered, their pilots struggling to maintain their grip on reality. That's when the ancient quantum patterns in horror space responded. The human neural network had awakened something that had slumbered in quantum space for eons. Energy patterns older than the Nexarian civilization itself surged through human ships, strengthening their quantum bonds. This is what they feared, Dr. Morrison realized, watching the battle through quantum-enhanced senses, not just our ability to use horror space, but our ability to communicate with it. The Nexarians only saw it as a tool. We've made it an ally. The battle reached its climax at the Nexarians' primary quantum processing facility. Here they had built the machines designed to harvest and process human consciousness. Captain Chen led the main assault, her consciousness extended across quantum space, guiding the fleet's movements. They're attempting to activate their harvest protocols, she warned through the neural network. If they succeed, they could still capture and process human consciousness on a massive scale. The facility's defenses were formidable, layers of quantum shielding powered by artificial processors that rivaled the output of small stars. But they had never faced an attack coordinated through both normal space and horror space simultaneously. All ships, full quantum convergence, Captain Chen commanded. The human fleet's consciousness synchronized completely, their ships moving as one entity. Energy pooled from horror space itself, channeled through human minds and into their weapons. The Nexarian facility's quantum shields, designed to resist any conventional attack, faced something entirely new. A quantum assault guided by conscious intent, amplified by horror space itself. The shields buckled, then shattered. Multiple quantum core breaches detected, Dr. Santos reported. The facility is destabilizing. Captain, You need to withdraw before. The warning came too late. The Nexarian facility's quantum cores detonated, creating a cascade reaction that rippled through both normal space and horror space. The human fleet rode the quantum shockwave. Their pilots joined consciousness, protecting them from the reality warping effects. When the quantum storm cleared, the facility was gone, leaving behind a tear in space-time that pulsed with alien energy. The Nexarian forces, their quantum networks disrupted, began a full retreat from human-controlled space. But victory had come with a price. The massive quantum detonation had changed something fundamental in both humanity and horror space. The pilots who survived found their consciousness permanently altered, able to perceive and interact with quantum reality even outside their ships. As the fleet regrouped for the return to Earth, Captain Chen and her pilots made another discovery. The ancient patterns in horror space weren't just a communication network. They were a map, pointing to something vast and mysterious at the edges of known space. The war wasn't over, but humanity had proven itself more than equal to the challenge. They had transcended the Nexarians' attempts to harvest them and discovered their true potential as quantum beings. The counter-strike had succeeded beyond anyone's expectations, but it had also opened the door to something far larger than the conflict with the Nexarians. 1 year after the quantum strike that crippled the Nexarian Empire, Earth had changed beyond recognition. The sky shimmered with quantum energy visible to the newly evolved human consciousness. Cities pulsed with the combined thoughts of millions of quantum-sensitive minds. Humanity had not just survived, it had transcended. Dr. Santos stood in the new Quantum Integration Center, watching holographic displays that tracked humanity's expanding presence in both normal space and horror space. "We've confirmed colonies on 17 worlds," she reported to the Council of Earth, each one connected through quantum corridors that our ships can navigate at will. The Nexarians had retreated to their core systems, their once mighty empire fractured by the revelation of humanity's quantum potential. But they weren't the only ones watching Earth's emergence. The ancient patterns discovered in horror space had led to contact with other quantum-sensitive species, civilizations that had chosen a different path than the Nexarians. "The Quantum Conclave has accepted our petition," Admiral Hayes announced. The aging military commander now bore the same luminous eyes as Dr. Morrison, a sign of extensive horror space exposure. Earth will have a seat at their council within the month. The Quantum Conclave, as humanity had learned, was an ancient alliance of species that had naturally evolved quantum consciousness. They had watched from the quantum realm as the Nexarians built their empire on artificial quantum processors, waiting for a species with the potential to restore balance to the galaxy. Captain Chen, now Fleet Commander Chen, entered the chamber. Her consciousness existed partially in horror space at all times, like many of the veteran pilots. "The quantum mapping project is proceeding faster than expected. We've charted paths to the galactic core that the Nexarians never discovered." But Earth's transformation hadn't come without challenges. The rapid evolution of human consciousness had created a divide between those who had developed quantum sensitivity and those who hadn't. Dr. Morrison's research suggested that within a few generations, all humans would develop some degree of quantum awareness, but the transition period would require careful management. "We're establishing quantum enhancement centers on every continent," he explained. "Natural quantum sensitivity appears to be hereditary, but it can also be awakened through controlled exposure. The key is ensuring people are properly prepared for the experience." The horror space fleet had evolved as well. New ships were grown rather than built, their quantum reactive hulls shaped by the consciousness of their future pilots. The neural network that had proven so effective in battle now served as the foundation of humanity's fastest communication system, allowing instant transmission of thoughts across vast distances through horror space. "We've detected unusual quantum signatures at the galactic core," Commander Chen reported. "The patterns suggest artificial construction on a massive scale, but the technology isn't Nexarian. The Conclave believes these may be artifacts left by the original architects of the quantum network we discovered in horror space." This discovery had sparked humanity's first major post-war initiative. Earth's quantum fleet, now numbering over 1,000 vessels, would lead an expedition to the galactic core. The mission would serve multiple purposes: scientific research, diplomatic outreach to other quantum-sensitive species, and a show of force to prevent any future Nexarian aggression. The quantum patterns are growing stronger, Dr. Santos noted, studying the latest readings. As more humans develop quantum sensitivity, we're beginning to affect the fabric of reality itself. The boundary between normal space and horror space is becoming more permeable where human consciousness is concentrated. This phenomenon had led to the development of quantum cities, settlements where the thoughts of thousands of quantum-sensitive humans created permanent corridors into horror space. These naturally occurring quantum gateways allowed for instant travel between distant points in space, fundamentally changing human society. We're not just adapting to quantum reality, Dr. Morrison observed. We're shaping it. The Nexarians sought to harvest our consciousness because they sensed this potential, but they never understood what it truly meant. Humanity isn't just another quantum-sensitive species. We're catalysts for change in the quantum fabric of the universe itself. The council chamber fell silent as the implications sank in. The war with the Nexarians had forced humanity to evolve, but it had also revealed their true place in the cosmic order. They were not meant to be harvested or controlled, but to help guide the galaxy's transition into a new age of quantum consciousness. As Commander Chen prepared to lead the expedition to the galactic core, she reflected on how far humanity had come. From a species on the brink of harvest to quantum pioneers in just over a year. The ancient artifacts they hoped to find might reveal the ultimate purpose of horror space and humanity's role in its future. The quantum network pulsed with the thoughts of billions, human consciousness reaching out across the stars. Earth's children would be born into a universe where the boundaries between mind and reality, space and time, were mere suggestions rather than absolute laws. The dawn of humanity's quantum age had arrived, and with it, the promise of possibilities that even the Nexarians had never dreamed possible. This wasn't just a new chapter in human history. It was the beginning of humanity's role as shapers of reality itself. The stars beckoned, horror space whispered its secrets, and the combined consciousness of humanity reached out to embrace its cosmic destiny.